welcome to the 40-Year-Old Vegan, the show that helps you stay leaner, cleaner, and greener in the second half of life. I'm Sandra Solani, the 58-year-old vegan, cookbook co-author, and your host. When I was 22 years old, I went to my family doctor and was diagnosed with a serious health condition. He gave me 4 medications and this nutritional advice: don't eat any fresh fruits or vegetables. I learned back then not to trust my doctor for dietary information, but lucky for me and for everyone, there are people like our next guest, people who dedicate their careers and their lives to teaching us how to thrive with healthy nutrition. Our guest is not only a registered dietitian, she is an online media expert and has a community of 35,000 strong. She's the author of 2 books and 950 articles for publications like Better Homes and Gardens and Prevention. She is currently attending graduate school at Green Mountain College in Vermont, where she is getting a master's degree in sustainable food systems. And with everything she knows about the science of nutrition, she chooses a plant-based diet for herself and people of all ages. Please join me in welcoming Sharon Palmer, the plant-powered dietitian. Hello. Welcome.
Sandra.
So good to see you.
Hi, Sandra.
Here.
It's so nice to be here.
It's great. Well, I know you've got a great dish you're making today with lots of color, lots of nutrients. What are you making today?
I'm making a Thai tofu stir fry with sorghum.
Sorghum. Now, sorghum is a grain that not a lot of people know about. Can you give us some information on it?
Yeah, this is sorghum right here. It's a whole grain. It's an ancient grain. Scientists think it came from Africa, and it grows all over the world. And it's found in a lot of traditional diets, and it's really making a comeback in the United States. I love it because it's grown here, so it's more of a local whole grain, and it's super packed with nutrients like fiber and slow digesting carbs and protein, vitamins, minerals. So it's really
so
great.
important. I know a lot of people are always worried, are they going to get enough protein? And it sounds like whole grains and sorghum is a great part of that diet.
Yeah.
And you've got a very nifty little gadget here too. That is probably something most people don't have in their kitchen. What is that all about?
So this is my tofu press, which I love to use when I'm cooking with tofu. Tofu comes with a lot of water in the package, and if you want to get rid of that water and really let that tofu absorb some of the flavors in your dish, you can put that tofu in your tofu press, tighten the lid, it squeezes out all the extra liquid so that it can really take on those flavors of your dishes.
So it sounds like sorghum has a lot of great nutrients, and I'm looking at something else here that looks very nutritious. You've got some beautiful green asparagus. Tell us about the nutritional profile of asparagus.
So I love cooking with asparagus because not only is it beautiful and delicious, but it's packed with fiber and special phytochemicals that are health protective. So in this recipe, I'm going to be using some fresh asparagus, and I've also got fresh carrots, bell pepper, some garlic and ginger, and some snow peas that will be going into that stir fry.
The colors are amazing, and I know the taste and the crunch and the texture is going to be too. So we've got a great variety here.
So to start this recipe, we're going to start by adding a little bit of oil. I like an aromatic oil like peanut oil, or you could also use sesame oil. And if you don't use oils, which a lot of people are avoiding, then you could eliminate that stage. And I'm going to be slicing my asparagus here. I'm just going to trim the edges and then cut it into 2/3 here. And that's going to go into my stir fry. I like to keep the pieces large so you can really see how beautiful they are.
Beautiful.
So that's going to go in here. All of our beautiful asparagus.
I love it.
And you know, this recipe has these beautiful, colorful vegetables, but you could also mix it up and change out the vegetables. If you had fresh peas, for example, or maybe zucchini, you could swap those out. So I'm going to add the carrots. And then I've got some red bell pepper that I've sliced in here. We're going to add that. And I'm just cooking it over medium heat. And then we've got some sliced snow peas. I just halved them. So again, all this beautiful color.
Lots of great crunch too.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And we're going to just let that saute a little bit here. And while we're doing that, I'm going to shred my ginger and my garlic. So I have 3 cloves of garlic here and a piece of ginger. And one of my favorite techniques is to use a microplane to shred these. So I've trimmed my ginger and I've peeled it, and now I'm going to be just shredding it on here. And I like it. This has a nice healthy dose of ginger. Ginger adds so much flavor, and it's also an herb that has some benefits as well. So I've got my ginger in there, and then I'm gonna be also shredding my garlic. This is another easy way to shred garlic. You can use a mincer as well, but since you have your microplane out here, we're gonna do some shredded garlic.
That is a great way, instead of doing all that chopping.
Yeah.
Save a lot of time with that. It just adds so much flavor.
Right. So now look at all that beautiful.
Oh, I love the pungency of the ginger and the garlic together, and they really stand out in a Thai dish. It's a signature flavor with Thai food, so this is going to be delicious when it adds these beautiful, colorful vegetables.
Yeah, and it smells so good. So we're going to be adding that to our stir fry. So we're just sauteing this, and you can see that it's starting to...
I can smell it already. It's
to,
amazing.
Get going here, and I'm going to add a little bit of water just to help it cook, and I'm not adding as much oil that way.
So if someone wanted to use, let's say, vegetable broth instead of the oil, is that a substitute for the oil?
Exactly. If you're trying to avoid the refined oils, you can use a vegetable broth.
That's so great. And you know, when you have flavors like this, like the ginger, the garlic, and I know you're adding some more, you don't really miss the oil. I know I've really cut back on my oil a lot, and I've really been enjoying the flavors and haven't missed the oil a bit. So people have options.
Lots of options. So now while this is cooking, I'm going to make my Thai sauce. So right now I'm sauteing this, and I have it on medium heat. And while this is sauteing, I'm going to come over here and make my Thai sauce. So we've got some coconut milk here. This is the light coconut milk. So we're going to add that. It's 1 cup. And if you want the full recipe, you can find it on my website at SharonPalmer.com. We've got
so many
some
recipes.
Yeah.
I love it.
We've got some Thai curry paste. This is a really great ingredient for this dish. And then we've got peanut butter. This is a 1/3 cup of creamy peanut butter, because the creamy really adds that kind of nice texture that we're looking for in this recipe. And then I have a little bit of sorghum syrup. Now you could also use maple syrup. It's just a nice little natural sweetener, just a little bit.
I love that how you're using sorghum in 2 different ways. You've got the syrup and you've got the grain. So that's really a nice touch.
And here we've got reduced sodium soy sauce.
Oh, great.
So I'm adding that. And then 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. That's going to make this nice and thick. So we're just going to stir this together to make this sauce. It doesn't have to be completely, perfectly cohesive, because when you're cooking it, it's going to get all nice and melty in there.
Oh,
so
the smell is amazing.
We're also going to add our tofu here. And you can see the vegetables are getting nice and tender. This is going to bubble away.
So you're going to serve the veggies on a bed of sorghum, and that seems like it's going to be a very filling dish, very satisfying, and you're not going to be hungry for a while.
Exactly. This is full of fiber, which we know makes us feel satiated, makes us feel full. And then you've got the fiber from the vegetables. This is really a 1-dish meal, and you can see how quickly I'm making it too. So you've got something that can feed a family, and then you have leftovers the next day.
That's perfect. I'd love to bring that for lunch the next day. That's something you look forward to when you have a great meal and you know you're going to have some leftovers the next day to bring to work or school.
Right. And you can see this is what the sorghum looks like when it's all done. I've boiled it. You can pre-cook this. I've used an Instant Pot to cook sorghum, slow cooker. So basically you can use this as a base for your stir fries or curry dishes. I also like to use it for a porridge instead of oatmeal.
Oh, that's great.
So I have some whole grain sorghum that I've cooked up here, and you can see what it looks like when it's all done. I've just simply boiled it, but you can also use an Instant Pot to cook it really quickly, a slow cooker. You can even use a pressure cooker as well. And it makes a great base for this dish with the stir fry or a curry dish. But you could also have it for breakfast. I like to use it for a porridge with berries and nuts and seeds.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I also like to use sorghum in salads, like whole grain salads with maybe a nice vinaigrette and some fresh veggies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, your salads are never going to be boring if you can add grains to them.
Right.
They just give it a whole different texture. And that looks like it has sort of a nutty, chewy texture and flavor. Is that
right?
Is that
it
how you
does. It
describe
holds up really well. The texture holds up really well. I recommend that people try to have a whole grain in their diet every single meal. This is really the backbone of a plant-based diet, is having more whole grains. They're rich in fiber and all these nutrients that our bodies need.
Sounds amazing, and I can't wait to taste it.
Yes. So we have our dishes cooking. It's getting bubbly down there. I wish everybody could smell it right now.
Oh, it's so good. The peanut, you know, when you add peanut butter, you can't go wrong. I mean, that's why I love Thai food so much. The flavors are just vibrant.
Yeah. So this is going to make a nice little sauce that really goes well with the whole grain. Another thing I like to recommend is more intact whole grains, because they have more nutritional value than the refined ones.
Okay.
So that's another great thing that I like to recommend.
So if someone's going to buy a whole grain flour, those are good, but when you can get them intact, that's the way to go.
Yeah, when I kind of put it on a spectrum of grains, where your whole grains, when they're in an intact form, the way Mother Nature made them, they grow on a grass plant and they're simply harvested. Those are actually seeds. They're harvested and dried, and then they're put in a package, and we just cook them and eat them. So that's really the best way to eat whole grains.
They are beautiful, and I can't wait to taste them.
So this looks like it's thickening up nicely here.
Wow.
And
the cornstarch really helps make it a true sauce. You just really did that so quickly.
yeah,
It's a nice consistency.
this is a great sauce that you could use for other stir fries as well. I'm gonna increase it a little bit.
Yeah, I think once people have a great sauce, they can use it for so many different types of dishes and really get creative with the veggies and just have that sauce as a basis.
Yeah, another thing you could do instead of the tofu is seitan. Have you tried seitan?
I have, yes. Very good and chewy, and that's made from vital wheat gluten.
Right, it's another plant protein. It's a traditional plant protein, and it is made with wheat, so it's a gluten. So if you're gluten free, if you're avoiding gluten, you wouldn't be able to have that.
Now, sorghum gluten-free?
It is gluten free.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's another benefit of this grain. If you're avoiding gluten, you can't have it. Then you could have the sorghum.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a great option.
So this is bubbling up here. I think we're almost ready to dish this up.
Oh, the smell. It's amazing.
So it looks like we're ready. So what we're going to do is dish this up. It's all ready to eat. So I'm going to dish up our sorghum. Just a nice little serving of our whole grain sorghum. And we get to try this stuff, Sandra.
I cannot wait.
And then we're going to serve some of this.
Beautiful sauce.
Yeah. I'm going to get some of the sauce with this little baby. How pretty. And this is another thing you can do with this dish is do meal prep. Have you been trying meal prep?
I have. It seems like that's a big trend these days. Everyone's doing their meal prep and making a week's worth of meals in advance, and this would be perfect for something.
Yeah. So you could make this whole thing up and have 4 meals for the week and just heat it up once you get to work.
And you know what? I'm okay eating the same thing every day. I really like, if I like something, I'll eat it every single day of the week. So
Yeah.
I know this is something that I will have. So here it is. Sorghum with a beautiful Thai sauce and tofu.
So good. That ginger is coming right through.
Oh, the ginger, the garlic, the sorghum is just chewy. It's so satisfying. I think people are going to love this, Sharon. If you want this recipe, you got to check out Sharon at SharonPalmer.com. She's got 2 great books, so visit her website. There are so many recipes for you to enjoy. And remember, when you live plant-based, the second half of life can be the best half of life. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time on The 40-Year-Old Vegan. Hello and welcome back to The 40-Year-Old Vegan. We are going to make some great Cabo quesadillas today using Cabo brand tortilla chips, and I'm going to talk about these a little bit more in a moment and why you should use these over any other brand tortillas. There's something really unique about them, and it's going to give you a great finished product every time. So this particular Cabo quesadilla is like a traditional quesadilla in that there's 2 2 flour tortillas, but normally quesadillas are filled with cheese, and we don't need that cheese. It's loaded with fat and cholesterol, but we can make a vegan version. And we're going to start with cashews. This is how we get sauces and cheeses very creamy. You take raw cashews, not dry roasted, soak them overnight, and then rinse them. And I'm using a half cup. We're going to put them in our food processor, and we're making what's called a cashew cream. I'm going to add an equal part, half cup of water, and this is going to form the basis for that cheesy quesadilla filling. So we're going to blend this and just get it creamy. You can already see that creamy base starting to form. Now, another way we can get things creamy is by using vegetables that have a creamy consistency already. So we're using artichoke hearts. And this dip is going to remind you of those dips you get when you go to a restaurant that's filled with spinach and artichoke hearts. That's what we're emulating, but we're doing the plant-based version. So it's starting to thicken up a little bit with those artichoke hearts. Now we're going to add some spinach, and all you do is take half cup of spinach, and you're going to drain all the water out of it. I use frozen spinach. I run some water over it to thaw it out, and then I squeeze it out and make sure that it's just dry and doesn't have any water in it. We're also adding 2 cloves of garlic. It's going to give it a lot of flavor. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and it's going to give it that tanginess that you get with cheese. So that's how we emulate dairy cheeses without the dairy. I'm using 1 teaspoon of salt, and this is Snowflake brand salt from Mount Cecilia. And another secret ingredient, Nooch, also known as nutritional yeast. This is a dry deactivated yeast that makes things taste like cheese, and it's really good for you. There's lots of B vitamins and protein, and you can buy it in bulk or in containers. So we're going to add this and continue to mix. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more water, and you can add another maybe 1/4 cup of water if you want to make it a little bit thicker consistency. And you're going to get a nice creamy spinach artichoke filling. You can smell the garlic, you can smell the cheese, and that nutritional yeast has sort of a Parmesan cheese smell and flavor. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to heat this up. We want to get it kind of warm and bubbly to go into the middle of the quesadilla. I want to talk to you a little bit about Cabo Chip brand tortillas. This is like nothing else you've tried before because these are partially cooked. So you don't find them with the traditional tortillas. You find them in the dairy section. And when you touch this product, by simply feeling it, you're going to know it's something special. It doesn't feel like a regular tortilla because it's not. It's the raw dough. It's not yet fully cooked until you make it fresh. So you get that sort of restaurant style cantina flavor. And if you've ever gone to an authentic Mexican restaurant where they're making the tortillas by hand, you know that nothing tastes better than a real tortilla that's been cooked fresh. So we have our cheesy spinach artichoke mixture cooking, but we're also going to cook our Cabo Chip tortilla. And what you do is put it in a dry, non-stick pan. And you don't have to add any extra oil to this. And the thing I love about this, look at how warm and beautiful and bubbly they get. So that is as close to homemade as you are gonna get. This is non-GMO, it's gluten-free, there's no trans fats, no preservatives. There's actually 4 ingredients in this product. It's flour, water, coconut oil, and sea salt. So it's as clean a product as you're going to get. So what we do, now that we have our tortillas heated up, and you just flip them every 10 seconds or so until they get that nice bubbly brown texture, and then we're going to add our filling and we'll be complete. This smells so good, and all we have to do now is blend it into the middle of our tortilla. I'm going to spread it around, and it's cheesy and warm and bubbly. And you can see the spinach there, you can smell the garlic. And those Cabo tortillas are so fresh. You're never gonna go back to the regular kind again. You can find them at cabochips.com. And remember, look for them in the dairy section. If you go online, they'll tell you which stores near you carry Cabo chips. And if your store doesn't carry Cabo chips tortillas, ask them about it. Because as a consumer, you can help stores make decisions and have them carry better, healthier products. So now that we have the bottom and the top on our quesadilla, we're just gonna cut it into 4 pieces. And it's nice and warm. So you wanna serve this right away after you make it. And the final touch, just for some color, put in some tomatoes, a little red, and you've got a beautiful, healthy, cholesterol-free Cabo quesadilla. Enjoy. Let's take a taste. The spinach and the garlic are amazing. The quesadilla has this wonderful chewiness to it that you only get when you have a homemade product, and this is as close to homemade as you get. And you've got something that you can serve at a party. You can bring this for lunch. It's portable, it's delicious, and it's completely plant-based. So I hope you make our tortillas and our Cabo quesadillas. You can find this recipe at 40yob.com. And remember, when you go plant-based, the second half of life can be the best half of life. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.